Welcome to the essential guide for baking a perfect apple pie. Whether you're a novice baker or a seasoned pro, mastering these steps will ensure a flaky crust and flavorful filling. Follow along for expert tips and enjoy crafting your delicious homemade dessert. Let's go through the ingredients for our classic apple pie. Starting with the pie crust, you'll need 2½ cups of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of sugar, and 1 cup of unsalted butter, chilled and cut into small cubes. You'll also use between 1/4 to 1/2 cup of ice water to bring the dough together. For the apple filling, prepare 6 to 7 cups of thinly sliced peeled apples, a mix of tart and sweet varieties like Granny Smith and Honeycrisp. To sweeten and thicken the filling, you'll add 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, 1/4 cup of packed light brown sugar, and 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Then, spice it up with a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon each of ground nutmeg, and ground allspice. For a touch of acidity and flavor, add a tablespoon of lemon juice and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. When assembling the pie, you will need small pieces of butter. Then prepare an egg wash with 1 beaten egg for brushing the crust and, optionally, a tablespoon of coarse sugar for sprinkling on top before baking. These ingredients come together to make a delicious classic apple pie. Let's walk through making the pie crust. Start by mixing 2½ cups of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of sugar in a large bowl. Next, add 1 cup of chilled unsalted butter that's been cut into small cubes. Use a pastry cutter or fork to work the butter into the flour mixture until it resembles coarse crumbs. Gradually add between 1/4 to 1/2 cup of ice water, just a tablespoon at a time, mixing with a fork or your hands until the dough starts to come together. Be careful not to overwork it. Once the dough begins to form, divide it into 2 equal portions. Shape each portion into a disc, wrap them tightly in plastic wrap, and refrigerate for at least 1 hour. This chilling time allows the butter to firm up again, which helps create a flaky crust when baked. Now, let's go through preparing the apple filling for your pie. Start with 6 to 7 cups of thinly sliced peeled apples. Choose a mix of tart and sweet varieties like Granny Smith and Honeycrisp for the best flavor balance. In a large bowl, combine the sliced apples with 3/4 cup of granulated sugar and 1/4 cup of packed light brown sugar. Add 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour to help thicken the filling. Then spice it up with 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon each of ground nutmeg, and ground allspice. To brighten the flavors, squeeze in a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, and for a hint of sweetness, add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Mix everything together thoroughly, ensuring all the apples are evenly coated with the sugar, spices, and flour mixture. Let the filling sit for about 15 minutes. This resting time allows the flavors to meld together and the apples to release some of their juices, ensuring a flavorful and nicely thickened filling for your pie. Let's continue with rolling out the bottom crust and adding the filling to your pie. Begin by preheating your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, 220 degrees Celsius to ensure it's ready for baking. On a lightly floured surface, take one of the chilled discs of pie dough and roll it out into a circle about 12 inches in diameter. This will ensure it fits nicely into your 9-inch pie dish with some overhang. Carefully transfer the rolled-out dough to the pie dish, gently pressing it into the bottom and sides. Leave any excess dough hanging over the edges for now. Next, it's time to add your prepared apple filling into the crust. Pour the apple mixture into the pie crust, spreading it out evenly. To enhance the flavor and texture, cover the top of the filling with small pieces of butter, distributing them evenly over the apples. Let's move on to preparing the top crust for your apple pie, with both the ordinary and lattice methods. Ordinary way. Start by rolling out the second disc of chilled pie dough on a lightly floured surface into a circle about 12 inches in diameter. Carefully drape it over the filled pie. Trim any excess dough, leaving about a 1-inch overhang around the edge of the pie dish. Fold this overhang under itself to create a thicker edge, and then crimp the edges using your fingers or a fork to seal the top and bottom crusts together. Finally, cut a few small slits in the top crust to allow steam to escape during baking. Lattice way. Roll out the second disc of dough into a 12-inch circle as well. Using a sharp knife or a pastry wheel, cut the dough into strips about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch wide. Lay 5 to 6 strips of dough across the filled pie, parallel to each other, with even spacing between them. Now weave the remaining strips of dough perpendicularly over and under the first set of strips to create a lattice pattern. Trim any excess dough from the strips that hang over the edge of the pie dish. Fold the overhang of the bottom crust up and over the lattice strips, then crimp the edges to seal. Whether you choose the ordinary or lattice method, these steps ensure a beautifully topped apple pie ready for baking. Now it's time to bake your apple pie to golden perfection. Here's how. Start by preheating your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, 220 degrees Celsius to ensure it's nice and hot for baking. Whether you've chosen the ordinary top crust or the lattice pattern, brush the entire top crust and the edges of the pie with the beaten egg. This will give your pie a beautiful golden color when baked. Optionally, you can sprinkle coarse sugar over the top for a bit of extra sweetness and sparkle. Place your pie on a baking sheet to catch any drips that may bubble over during baking. Now slide your pie into the preheated oven and bake for the first 20 minutes. This initial high heat helps to set the crust and get it started on its journey to golden brown perfection. After 20 minutes, reduce the oven temperature to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, 190 degrees Celsius, and continue baking for an additional 40 to 50 minutes. Keep an eye on the pie towards the end of the baking time. If you notice that the edges of the crust are browning too quickly, gently cover them with foil to prevent overbrowning. Your pie is ready when the crust is a beautiful golden brown and the filling is visibly bubbly and thickened. Lastly, after baking your delicious apple pie, it's important to cool it properly before serving. Once you've taken the pie out of the oven, place it on a wire rack to cool. Let it sit and cool for at least 2 hours before serving. This cooling time allows the filling to set, ensuring that when you slice into the pie, you get clean and beautiful slices with perfectly thickened filling. Here are some final tips to ensure your apple pie turns out perfectly. Keep the ingredients cold. Chilling the butter, flour, and even the bowl before making the dough helps create a flaky crust. Use a mix of apples. Combining tart apples like Granny Smith with sweet varieties such as Honeycrisp adds complexity and depth of flavor to your pie filling. Don't overmix the dough. Mix the dough just until it comes together. Overmixing can lead to a tough crust rather than a tender and flaky one. Vent the top crust. Whether you're using a full top crust or a lattice pattern, make sure to cut enough slits to allow steam to escape during baking. This helps prevent a soggy bottom crust. Shield the crust edges. If you notice that the edges of the crust are browning too quickly during baking, cover them loosely with foil. This prevents them from burning while the rest of the pie finishes baking. Cool the pie completely. After baking, allow the pie to cool on a wire rack for at least 2 hours. This cooling time allows the filling to set properly, making it easier to slice and serve. By following these tips, you'll be able to bake a delicious apple pie that's sure to impress your friends and family. Enjoy your baking experience.